During lunch, you lift your phone and scan a QR code printed on the table. In a split second, it takes you straight to the menu. No typing a web address. No calling a waiter. No thinking. The action happens as quickly as a reflex. Yet inside that chaotic black and white pattern, 3 square blocks always sit at fixed corners, almost like deliberate markers. The strange part? This design appears on every QR code on the planet, from small restaurants to international airports, from warranty stickers to subway tickets. It never changes. It never negotiates. It exists as a mandatory condition of the technology itself. Those 3 squares are not decorative. They are the orientation brain of the code, ensuring your phone never gets confused. Even if you hold the QR at a 370-degree angle or flip it completely upside down, and the story behind them opens a logical maze that makes curious minds want to pause and look closer. QR codes are built on a simple rule. The phone must know what it is looking at before it can understand what is inside. The 3 large corner squares function as coordinate markers, similar to placing 3 beacons on a map. When the camera detects these 3 points, the algorithm immediately calculates rotation, size, and distortion, then corrects the image back into a perfect square. If 4 squares were used, the system would struggle to distinguish which side is open and which side is closed, creating ambiguity in orientation. 3 points are enough to lock direction while leaving 1 corner available for structural information. Your phone performs all of this in just a few milliseconds, roughly half the time it takes you to blink. Even when the code is tilted, those 3 squares create a stable geometric pattern that the machine can recognize in low light. That is why scanning feels nearly instantaneous. Even when you hold your phone at an awkward angle or briefly sweep past the code in a narrow frame, what feels effortless is actually built on precise geometric correction. Among engineers, this trio of squares is considered a balance between minimal design and high recognition reliability under imperfect conditions. And once you look beyond them, the rest of the matrix begins to reveal another layer of logic. Each tiny square inside a QR code is not a random decoration. It is a binary data unit representing either a 0 or a 1. When hundreds or thousands of these squares appear together, they form a command string long enough to contain a full URL, product information, or even Wi-Fi credentials. The phone reads these squares row by row, much like reading lines of computer code. When it encounters metadata zones, it determines which decoding version to apply. When it reaches the data region, it records the sequence of bits. When it reaches the error correction zone, it stores redundancy information in case some squares are blurred or missing. What makes QR codes superior to traditional barcodes lies in 2-dimensional storage. Barcodes are read horizontally. QR codes distribute information both horizontally and vertically, multiplying data density many times over. With this structure, a small cluster of squares can store enough information to link to a long website or hold a short block of text. To the human eye, it looks like visual noise. To an algorithm, it is a structured code sheet as orderly as written music. But the most convincing feature lies in its ability to self-heal, where technology unintentionally mirrors how humans process incomplete information. QR codes include a defensive layer based on the Reed-Solomon algorithm. This allows the system to recover data even if up to 30% of the code's surface is damaged. When you see a QR sticker torn at the corner or covered in dust, your phone can still scan it because the algorithm does not require every square to be present. It only needs a sufficient portion to reconstruct the original information. This mechanism resembles how you read a sentence with missing letters. Your brain fills in the gaps based on context. The algorithm does the same, but through strict mathematical rules. When part of the data is lost, the error correction system uses redundant bits to estimate the missing values. In practical terms, this allows QR codes to survive harsh conditions. Printed outdoors, stuck onto shipping boxes, placed on metal trash bins in parking lots, even printed on curved surfaces without becoming useless due to a small scratch. Because of this fault tolerance, QR codes are widely used in industries that demand reliability, logistics, warehouse inventory, and even healthcare, where equipment regularly encounters challenging environments. This self-healing capability is not a luxury feature. It is the foundation that enabled QR technology to dominate globally and become a new layer of language between the physical world and your smartphone. When you look at those three small squares again, you are seeing a logical system compact enough to survive for 3 decades with almost no structural change. Every time you raise your phone to scan a code, you activate an entire mathematical engine designed to function even when the environment does not cooperate. The amusing part is that most of us encounter QR codes daily, yet rarely pause to consider why they are so reliable. If you enjoy this kind of object dissection, you might stay for the next episode, where we analyze how the cheapest ballpoint pen on your desk relies on fluid mechanics to prevent ink from clogging. And who knows? You may begin to notice that many familiar objects around you are hiding more layers of logic than you ever imagined.